Wow. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. Such a wonderful time to be here to speak to you about some things that has to do with our survival, our life. You know, it's amazing that today in American history, we are going through some things that we went through not too many years ago. Grandstanding about war, Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, now North Korea, and the same political party is in office that was before, talking about war, talking bold and bold enough to attack some others first. Woo! And the people, just as they were back then, terrorism, nukes, baddest nation, that old bully talk. You heard it said, that this is not just against humankind, flesh and blood. That this struggle is between also the evil spirits. Not just you and I, but municipalities that are ran by evil thoughts. Have you given that any real serious thought? How many of you believe that? And if you do, for those of you who do, and I'm sure many of you do, why do you believe it? Is it because it's something that you heard and been jammed on you ever since you started hearing? The same practice with Iraq, the same practice with North Korea and what was going on with Iran. These kinds of things, many people call good. Am I saying that the things that we use for division amongst the people, for instance, ethnicity, is that true or is that staged? Is that fabricated? Is that fake? We talk about black and white, separate. What's up with that? Smart and dumb. What's up with that? We can find all kinds of ways to express the opposite of any situation. But what can we as people come up with that smooths the situation, that makes it all right? Sure, up can come up with reasons for being up. Down can come up with reasons for being down. But who and what can justify in between? In between can. And in between keeps up and down separated. So who is the in between? We know what the up is. We know what the down is. So who is the in between? And if the in between is in control, then why aren't the in betweens satisfied with one another? Is it because the up is so powerful or the down so powerful that the in between is just going in a whirl? Well, it seems that that would be the answer, because this is what we're going through right now. Right now. Sometimes somebody want to come to you and talk to you about God. And most folks want to say, well, we've heard enough about God. We've seen God in action. God is nothing but talk. They talk to you about evil being represented. If someone asks you what is evil, you say evil was represented by hate. Evil was represented by poverty. Why? Evil causes pain and suffering. That's what poverty is. Causes crime and violence. Causes terrorism and war. These are things that destroy. This is what we would refer to when we talk about evil. You start talking about good. What do you talk about when you think about when you talk about good? You're talking about peace. You're talking about prosperity. You're thinking about joy. This is the difference between the two. And when you look amongst the society of people, what do you see? Do you see the peace, the prosperity, the joy? Or do you see the pain, the suffering, the crime, the violence, the terrorism, the war, the thought of it? And everybody might be saying, well, I'm on the up. Another might be saying I'm on the down, and every last one of them think they're right. But in between, all the turmoil still goes on and goes on. And then somebody go up and talk about a God, then you would think that if deep down in the hearts of men, everybody want to have their way, everybody wants peace, they say, everybody wants prosperity, they say, everybody wants joy, they say, then that means that inside of them there's a yearning, there's an aching for some voice to come along that would establish not one or the other, but peace for all. Peace that says down says it's all right to be down. Nobody's complaining about it. Everybody says up, that says up, it's all right to be up, and nobody's complaining about it. And all of that in between, satisfied with where they're at, and nobody's complaining about it. But what do I say? Where's that God that people talk about that says do it my way, and my way works? But we find out that my way only works for me. Your way works, and your way works only for you. We need a way that works for all of us. And where can that way come from? Does that way come from somebody who says we should hate? Does that way come from someone who says we're better than them? And so we got to keep it on, until we're all dead. That's where that road leads. I'm not asking anybody to believe that. I'm just telling you what is true. Then you say, well, where is that good going to come from? Where is that good going to come from? Well, I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, when they say the world is run by evil and the devil and Satan and all that stuff and evil spirits, I can't argue with that. Honestly, I just don't know. But I do know one thing. When evil actions are taken, when those efforts are made to bring about benefits for some at the pain of others, it's always a human being that's doing it. What the influences might be, it's what they're doing it for. Those are the influences. And you don't see a devil, not saying that it doesn't exist. Don't see a Satan, not saying that it don't exist. I see a person, man or woman, black or white, young or old, a person. And yet when they start talking about doing good, good is limited to have no real effect. They say if I can just help one somebody, then my efforts would not have been in vain. If I can give one piece of bread to one somebody that's hungry, then my work will not be in vain. Well, I don't know about that. You should think about that. You see, when you give one person one piece of bread because they're hungry and that's all you got at that time, in that moment, it might seem fantastic to you for being able to give and for the one that's getting. But what that does, that feeds the perpetuation of a system that says that whatever is robbing that person of their bread can continue to exist. It's okay if you give that person a piece of bread. But let your conscience, let your heart be hungry enough to find out what it is that causes this problem, and let your faith be in your ability to stand up and resist and challenge that and eradicate hunger from amongst the people. But what we say is that a spirit one day is It's going to come in the form of a man riding on. Well, come out of the clouds now. Make sure none of you think it's you. None of you think that he can be a human being. He's going to come out of the clouds. And he's going to do miraculous things, which means you just be quiet. You who believe in the good side, the peace, the prosperity, you just be quiet. Don't do anything. Just wait. And so, where is God? It's talking. That's why preachers can start talking about planting seeds, telling you to give them $1,000, and God gonna bless you as you give them your money. But God never gets the money. It stops in the hands of those who running the show. And you never get anything. They keep on telling you that stuff now. You start telling the people that's really hurting about God, they don't want to hear it. Because the God that they see is a mansion for the preacher, a Learjet for the preacher, or an organization, or going somewhere trying to get some more money from somebody else. They don't see any God saying, we're going to eradicate this homelessness. We're going to stand up against the system that allows us to exist, the system that steals people's ability to be accessing education to the fullest that they might require, or health care, unlimited and unrestricted. All of these things came from the same power that created the earth, that created the human beings, and yet they don't exist because somebody told you to be quiet. While they step on doing, calling it the devil, because the human beings that do evil do it. And those of you who claim and talk about good, wait for some spirit to do it for you. That's a big old trap. Now, who does that seem like it works for? Just use your little wisdom, your little smart, your street smarts, or your whatever smart you got. Who does that work for? Does that work for good? Or does that work for evil? Oh, you don't have to think too hard. They're talking about war right now. People are scared to talk about peace. They talk about peace mean you're weak. Talk about prosperity for everybody mean you foolish. And talk about God that represents the whole human race, you got to be out of your mind. You think you're lying? Go to a church and start talking about a God that represents all the people beyond talking. Ask them to come out of those churches and stand up to make sure that peace is created upon the American shores, that poverty is eradicated. Ask them to come out and stand up for those principles that would do that, and I guarantee you nobody coming out. Ain't nobody come out of those churches. No. You must be crazy. Come up against the system? Come out against the founding fathers? Are you out of your mind? There's a time, but that the Bible says that these are the last and evil days. I wonder why. Does it mean that you just threw up your hands like the Native Americans did when they had their land taken and all the warriors were killed and everybody else just turned the other cheek? Say, well, I walked the other way. Or the blacks who came and would use the slaves to give free labor when the warriors were killed off, then the others turned the other cheek and said, well, we'll just go along. And everybody else who wouldn't bend, who got their butts whipped, then the rest of them just turned their cheek and said, we'll go along. And then somebody can stand up and call themselves the greatest, and we're going to be the greatest, we're going to do just like the world has never known. Look, that is the biggest devil. Let me tell you something one more time. That is the biggest devil you can ever imagine. For those of you who are in the Bible, look at that. Somebody that set up there talking about their military might and that evil in their heads, what we can do to you to destroy you if you ever dare to challenge us. How come they can't stand up and say, hey, here's an olive branch. Your people are suffering. We got a solution. I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to fix up the situation for our own people, and then we're going to bring some joy and some peace and some prosperity to your people. How come they can't stand up and say that? How come the American people can't stand up and say, yes, that's what we want. We want love across the land. We want the earth to be still. We want the warming and global warming, New World Order, sit your tail down, and we the people are going to take control. And we're going to not only demand, we're going to see that it's done, because we're going to put our own selves in it to make sure. Why can't somebody stand up and talk about stuff like that? Because if they did, they'd be called a fool. They'd be called weak. And frankly, the world would turn against them if they talk like that. Do you believe that? I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. I've been doing it for 40 years. You never heard of me. Why? Because nobody wants you to hear me. But how do you hear me this time? Not going to do any good. You heard it. Many of you are going to say, well, you sure telling the truth. Then you're going to go right along and make sure that nothing happens. The rest of you saying, that nigga crazy. And that stuff ain't happening. He ought to go get a job. I'm going to leave it there on that joke. Bye-bye.